Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Social Liability Podcast, the only podcast where two middle-aged men sit around and complain about people that violate the social contract we all agree to live by. I'm your host, the Raz with my co-host, the Buck Grundle, and this week we talk about the most important subject of all.
Raise your kids, raise your kids, raise your goddamn kids. Raise your kids, raise your kids, raise your goddamn kids.
That's right, folks, raising your goddamn kids. Buck, I'm sick and tired of these little feral monsters running amok in our communities.
I would have to say, yeah to that one. It is a bit of a disgrace sometimes, and very, very difficult to deal with.
Brother, I got home last night quite late. I was up way too early in the morning, went to work, did my work thing, came home. We all piled in in one of our cars and drove 100 miles away to purchase a new car. Got a new car, by the way, last night.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, I did. And I did pretty well, I think, but we'll talk about that later. Or you can review the episode where we talk about buying a car. So
that would be a best idea. Yep, review that episode.
We come back 100 miles back to the house, and we turn onto our street. It's a nice, quiet little street. Except for the fact there are now, I think 9 kids between the ages of probably 7 and maybe 10, 11, just in the middle of the street, just playing in the middle of the street. Now, don't misinterpret this. I played in the street as a kid too. We would play basketball if we had a hoop. We'd play with our hockey sticks on our rollerblades. You know, we did that kind of stuff. I get that. But you know what we did when we saw a car coming, Buck?
You moved?
We got the fuck out the way. Not these little bastards.
Yeah.
No, they just stood there and stared at us like we're going to, well, there's kids in the street. I guess we'll go around.
Oh, you know what? I used to run into that all the time when I used to drive all over Pennsylvania. And they try and stare you down like it's a game of chicken or something. And it's like, okay, all right. You know, we're not going to have a stalemate here. In a second, somebody's going to start beeping their horn or swearing. Like, how about you just move?
And the thing is, you can't blame the kids. And in this case, you really can't blame the kids. Why, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Because the damn mother, at least I'm assuming is the mother of one of them, is literally sitting on a chair on her porch watching this happen. What'd she do? Nothing. After a few seconds, she gets up and starts waddling her ass down the sidewalk towards the street. Never did say anything to the kids. You know, luckily I didn't have to go through the herd. I was able to get into my driveway. But nevertheless, when do you teach your kids it's okay to, you know, have a defiant stare down with a freaking automobile?
You know, first off, I wanna just go back to a part of your synopsis there. That movement that the mom makes from the porch to the sidewalk, it's called Haram Thing. Yes, that's right. Haram Thing. Yes.
Okay, I'm ready for the definition of Haram Thing.
Well, you already very adequately described it earlier by stating when somebody waddles from where they are with no sense of urgency to where they should be, and still don't actually do what they're supposed to. They just kind of like go there. And that is harumping. Almost as if they are being forced to move. It is terrible. It is terrible. You normally see fat dogs do it. So
this particular Karen it was harumping herself down the sidewalk.
See, you can't even say it without laughing. Harumping.
Oh God, he did not just think this on the spot either. That's in his vocabulary.
It is. My current wife came up with that word describing our fat dog.
And now it translates over to the word of Karen.
Yeah, it does.
So I literally this afternoon we decided we were going to record, and I said, okay, let's record. And then right before I sat down to dinner, I'm like, huh, I wonder what we're talking about. So this was a subject you came up with, you know, raise your goddamn kids. So what do you want to talk about in regards to raising your goddamn kids?
Controlling them in public is a very big one. I definitely. Now, I will start by saying that I am the biggest pushover in the world with my own two children. I really am. I will let them commit absolute murder. But the difference is that not only will I make sure they do it properly, I'll even help them hide the body. Okay? Because I will raise my children. Okay? It's not about being a pushover. It's not about this or that or the other thing. It's about letting them literally walk all over you, and right in the public eye at that.
Well,
Controlling,
see,
not controlling your kids is just terrible.
you're saying control, but I mean, in public, yes, you have to have a modicum of control. But reality is, if you are simply just lead by freaking example, man. If you're out there acting like a horse's ass, guess what your kid's gonna see? They're gonna see you acting like a horse's ass, and they're gonna not intimidate. I'm sorry, emulate you. They're going to see, you lead by example with your life. I can remember one instance where I was in a Sheetz convenience store. For those of you not on the East Coast, it's kind of like a I don't know, a Wawa or something like that. Yeah, it's a chain gas store that has the food inside.
It's awesome. That's what it is.
No, it used to be awesome. Then now the food sucks. By the way, if you're from Sheetz, yeah, your food sucks.
Yeah, the quality's gone way down in that particular chain.
And they also
But
try to stuff a lot more into the store than they ever had before. And the slushy machine is always in a very poorly designated place. And I am a sucker for a slushy. So I go in there to get my squishy on, and there is this heifer of a woman standing there, and her I don't know, the heifer of a child, I guess, standing there in front of her. And they're both just standing there, being heffalumps and not really doing much of anything. But they're between me and the icy machine. So I'm like, excuse me, can I get through here? And this freaking waste of dang flesh looks at me and just gives me that humph. You know the sound.
yes, yes, I do.
I'm standing here. And it was that deep, folks. This was a woman. I'm convinced it was a woman. But nevertheless, I'm standing here with that, that 3-pack a day rasp to their voice. These are
Oh,
these are the ones that you typically see hanging around Sheetz, picking up their dinner on a nightly basis. And
with food stamps, they accept EBT.
they do
With
accept
their food
EBT,
stamps.
and they allow you to wear Crocs. So this heffalump, humph, I'm standing here. Very loud too. And me being the non-confrontational pacifist that I am, replied to said heffalump, well, you can be fat and ugly anywhere. Why don't you go do it somewhere else? Now, would I have said that if my kids were with me? No.
No, no,
Probably
you
not.
no, you really wouldn't have.
At the same time, one of my happiest moments, and at the same time, one of my least proud of myself moments. But nevertheless, I did get a standing ovation from the other patrons within the establishment. But the whole time, I mean, it was simple. I walked up to this person. See, I'm being nice. I said person. And I said, excuse me, can I get by you? And that's your reply? You grunt at me, you give me this guttural sound and tell me I'm standing here. Well, no shit, you're standing there. I'm looking at your fat ass. But you're doing this in front of your kid. I mean, come on. Why are you instilling this in your child?
Yeah, people just fail to live their lives by the rules of social decorum. I mean, like, seriously, if you are in the way, you have to yield. Like, do not impede the flow of foot traffic. Like come on. And exactly, like, don't show your kids that that's okay.
No.
That's why they get run over by cars.
Oh,
Or
we both lived in the vicinity of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania at one point.
yes.
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania has a very distinct traffic pattern in that, known as gridlock. But one of the main aspects of said gridlock is the town square, which is a roundabout that the high school children take great delight in walking out in front of a car and just standing there in the middle of the crosswalk, or getting down and tying their shoe, or pretending they dropped something, or doing them. It's something that the high school kids in that town do on a regular basis, and they think it's funny. Oh my god!
Wow.
You never encountered that?
No, I have. Only saying wow because of like flashbacks that I have gone through regarding those particular circumstances. They do just that. And it's like the best way to describe it is just asinine. It
Well,
really, really is.
they do that until they turn 16 and they get a driver's license, and then it turns into, I'm going to drive in circles around around the roundabout and see how many laps I can get in before the cops run me off.
Or they go and cruise the Golden Mile in Hanover.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we're not going to get geographical on here, but I guarantee you, wherever you live, you have that spot, the cruising road, or maybe the next town over. But there's that one place where everyone goes to cruise.
Oh, yeah.
That's never going to go away. That was there when I was a kid. It's there now. It's never going to go away. Harkening back to the days of yore.
Hey, you know what, though? I mean, like, at least you and I can fall back. And I'm not saying that anybody's really wrong here, but looking at that kind of stuff now and criticizing it, at least I can look back and say, well, at least I'm not a hypocrite because I never did that stupid, silly shit.
No,
I
I
really
didn't either.
didn't.
I didn't want to get hit by a car.
Well, and I never cruised the duel, you know,
No, you know why?
or
'Cause I didn't want to spend the money on the gas.
yeah, truth. You know, they should start teaching personal economics in high school.
Or how to
On
balance
a
a
on a
checkbook.
that's what I mean. You know, yep, balance a checkbook, manage your finances, and this all goes down to raising your damn kids.
Well, and that's the thing. If this, we're even guilty of that right now because we're saying they got to teach us in school. No, I'm sorry. No, we should be teaching this to our kids at home, and we're not. I never learned how to balance a checkbook until I got a checking account.
I still don't know how to balance a checkbook very well. I always let my wives do it.
Well, in fairness, it's gotten to the point in my life where I write one check a month, and that's for the rent.
Same.
Oh, geez. So these kids. What's your biggest gripe with people and their feral monsters?
You know, I would have to say that and going back into the state of Pennsylvania, everybody's familiar with getting rid of their leaves in the fall,
Oh God.
and they put them on the yep. It's like this, you know, they put their leaves in big ass piles on the side of the road, typically like where your gutters would be, like right at the curb. All right,
Which I'm
and
sure
so
the stormwater maintenance crews love.
I'm sure they do, but they vacuum them up. Okay, they come through a big old vacuums and they suck up the leaves. And they do this every year, but sometimes, you know, it takes a while for the truck to get by. So what do the kids do? They start making forts inside of these leaf piles that are actually in the road. They're not on the sidewalk. They're like right on the edge of the road. Okay? Why would you allow your children to make a fort inside of a pile of leaves on the side of the road?
Well,
You
especially
know,
considering now that once they get their driver's license, those same kids are the ones going, "Hey, look, a pile of leaves," and
and
they
they
run through
drive
it with their
right through.
car.
Yep. I mean, like, seriously, you are just literally inviting disaster into your life. You know, and I'm surprised the child mortality rate in Pennsylvania is not much higher.
Now, in fairness, I've never seen anybody build a fort in leaves, but you're from a
I'm not
more
talking
rural
about
area than I am.
well, I'm not talking about a fort. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, like a fort would have like walls and stuff like that. They have more like a tunnel. They go and hide in the leaf pile. I guess building a fort was a little bit of a bad analogy or a bad simile, but you know, or a bad mental picture. But either way, you got kids laying down in a pile of leaves on the side of the road that bigger kids, after they get their licenses, drive through like there's no tomorrow, and it's just like it's a double whammy of just borderline stupid behavior. Not even borderline, just stupid behavior. And that pisses me off. That is where, like, I don't let my children do that because I'm raising them to not make decisions like that. My children's mother, they do not get the they don't get the opportunity to commit those kinds of social atrocities and dangerous, stupid behavior because their mom won't let them either. These are the types of things that people all across the map need to instill in their kids. If your kid's having a bad day and acting up in a supermarket, believe me, we've all had that before. We all have. We all hate getting the looks from other people who think that we can't raise a damn kid. We've all gotten those looks. But the fact of the matter is that there's no excuse or nothing you can say. There's no bad day that can explain away learning or not learning to make responsible decisions, which is what people need to raise their children to do. The world is going to get broken if people don't learn to teach their children to make better decisions. Like, don't touch the hot stove.
Well, okay. So with our kids, we instill upon them what we value in life. At least that's what we should be doing. In a lot of cases, you have absentee parents, and they're physically there, but we have, how many people do you know? And I'm not saying names because we don't want to completely obliterate our social circles. But how many people that the television raised their kids more than they did?
Oh man, like you're talking about half my friend circle.
See,
I
and
mean,
now
like,
they're all going to be
seriously.
sitting around going, "Am I in that half?" But
Probably.
no, I'm not, because when my child was born, my oldest, we actually got rid of cable.
Oh, we did too, man. We did too. That was a hoax. That's a whole other episode.
Well, I did it for two reasons. One, because it's a financial thing. Cable is a bloody expensive, and we could have a whole episode on the evils of cable. But
That's what I mean, man.
oh, I
Yeah.
know. But and the other thing is too, it was from another financial standpoint that I didn't want my child seeing commercials.
Oh no. Oh, that is true.
Do you remember Tickle Me Freaking Elmo?
Nope. Because
Good.
my kids never saw it on a freaking commercial. Because we
Exactly.
got rid of cable in 2009.
I was right behind you. I was right behind you. 2010. I haven't had cable since then. So I'm now 10 years cable free.
But yeah, you're right though. People do let their kids just sit in front of a TV. I had my favorite TV show when I was a kid. It was called Outside.
Well, here's another thing I'm going to ask you about when you were a kid. Now, I'm going to be a poor example of this because I was rather feral. And when I had a parental involvement in my life, it was actually my grandmother. She was a disciplinarian. That was harsh. My grandfather more so. You could hear the belt clearing belt loops when he was involved. But do you ever just people don't really discipline their kids anymore either? I'm not saying you need to take the kid over your damn knee and fan their ass. I'm not saying that. But when the kid does something wrong, are you just going to yell and scream at them, or are you going to correct the behavior?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give some accolades to my ex-wife because I'm a yeller. I like to yell,
I've heard
or
you
at least I
yell.
used to. I'm not very pleasant when I yell. I'm not very pleasant when I get upset either way. I have a very low emotional intelligence for dealing with conflict, and
Weren't you a
my
hostage
ex-wife,
negotiator?
yes, but that was somebody else's conflict. That didn't bother me. That didn't bother me because that's somebody else's conflict. Conflict with me, stuff that I gotta actively like be involved in. Nah, no. I'm not very good at that. So my ex-wife would handle that kind of stuff, and she was not a yeller at the kids too much. She didn't spank, stuff like that, and so that's just proving that there are alternative means because my kids are great. They're everything I want them to be. You know, but when I was growing up, I got 10 kids in my family. All right, I am number 3 of 9 living
Yeah,
children
I don't
that
actually
my
think that your parents might have benefited from having more TV, so they would have had something else to do.
well, the thing is that my parents really didn't get involved very much in whether or not we watch TV, but my brothers and I, and we like to play around outside. So it was really wasn't a problem that they had to mitigate
Buck.
because we would only watch TV when we couldn't go outside. But the thing is
Buck,
that
that
with
joke that
discipline,
that joke just went like right over your head.
it probably did.
I was talking about your parents needed something to
Oh,
do other than stay in the bedroom making more kids. I mean, did your dad like
well, I
baseball?
mean, like, no,
Okay. I mean, about soccer or football?
nope.
Any kind of team
S-
sport?
love. No, my dad was an all-American soccer player.
Well, there you go. I mean, he obviously was trying to breed
I
his
just
own soccer team. So what?
They succeeded, but no. The thing is that my parents were. If we messed up, there was no explain this to me. That the hammer came down, and it had to be like that because there were so many of us.
Well, if they
Like they
showed
didn't
any
have
weakness,
time.
there'd be blood in the water.
Exactly, and believe me, there was none. I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall, and at my prime, I was about 270 pounds. Okay, and my mom is 4 foot 11, and my dad is 5 foot 7, maybe.
And I've seen your mom, and
And
she looks like a little short uh, fairy dancing hippie.
yeah, and let me tell you, dynamite comes in smaller packages than she does, and look what it does to people. I still, I'm still afraid of my own mother. I am 37 years old, man. And my mother still scares a ever loving crap out of me. And you want to know what that is? That's called good parenting. That's what that is. I'm not like afraid to like go up to my mom or whatever, whatever, whatever. But I know that if I mess up and my mom finds out, I'm gonna get an earful. I just will. My mother will not let it go. you know, that's the mindset that I have. Obviously, my mom doesn't give a shit about what I do right now, but I mean, if she did, it would be bad.
Well, what do you think caused this big dramatic shift in our society that we just our kids are left to their own devices and they'll just do what they do, and I mean I blame the hippies.
I don't really know who to blame. I really don't know if it's something that we can really affix fault to. I think it's just the degradation of civilization, to be honest with you. Like, we came to a super duper high, and now we're just going to fizzle out, and the next wave of humanity will take our place. Maybe we'll be born without legs. I mean, like, who knows?
Well, they're not doing you any good.
No, they really aren't. Walking is extremely overrated.
I'm gonna get me one of those chairs one of these days, and I'm just gonna ride around.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Just make a weird face and cross one eye. Nobody will ask you any questions.
My God. So, okay, so our kids are feral at this point, except yours and mine. Ours are perfect, but other people's kids are feral at this point. Um, do you remember a slogan that was on everything when we were growing up? And that was, "You can be anything you want to be."
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I'm
To the
sorry,
point that,
little Timmy down the street, the one that likes to lick the windows when you drive or walk by on the sidewalk. Little Timmy
yeah,
is not going to be an astronaut.
probably not. I mean, I won't say never, but I will say that the odds are drastically stacked against him.
So we have this concept of anybody can be anything. And what do we start doing then? Well, we can't keep score anymore, and we can't we can't give out trophies. No, because then that person will feel bad. But trophies are important, so we'll give everybody a trophy. Yes, everybody's a winner.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. One of the greatest lessons a person has to learn in their life is how to lose. And that might be where everything kind of started to derail when that concept. You don't have to be a loser. everybody can be a winner. Well, no, no, that's just not how life works. You know, you have to learn how to lick your own wounds, and that's something that definitely is going away these days.
There throughout my teens and well into my adulthood, I've loved the game of baseball. I don't like Major League Baseball. I'll go to a Baltimore Orioles game sometimes, but I don't like Major League Baseball for many reasons. But I don't think anybody in the major leagues is virtually anybody could be considered a role model, and I just don't particularly like it. I also don't like the
Do you
fact that
remember when my ex-wife got hit with the foul ball when you took us to the minor league game?
yes, yes I do.
Ah, that was great.
But I remember when I was still in high school, I was assistant coach for a little league team, and we wanted our kids to lose the first game. We wanted them to lose. We actually sabotaged them. We wanted them to lose because we wanted them to know what it was like. And we wanted them to learn how to lose and how to lose gracefully and how to lose with dignity. We don't do that anymore because we don't keep score. I mean, this was so bad when my oldest son became old enough to play t-ball. They said, we need coaches. I'm like, shit, I'll coach. That's cool. I get to coach my kid's baseball team. This is awesome.
Oh, I remember when you had to go coach.
Well,
Oh,
no, so they just said, here's the rule book. These are your practice. This is the field you can practice on. What days do you want to practice? I said, all right, give me Mondays and Thursdays. And other than that, they said, okay, first game's in a month and a half. Cool. All right. So I got my team. I had everybody meet me in a parking lot to hand out the jerseys, and everyone came over, and we taught fundamentals. Yeah, we're not even going to play with the bat for a while. It's a tee. Anybody can hit that. So we taught how to field ground balls. What every time, as soon as you got the ball, no matter what, you threw it to first base because kids playing t-ball can't run. So so we had the fundamentals down. I mean, this was in a 6-week time span. That's 12 practices, about an hour and a half each. I mean, these kids were for t-ball. I was very pleased with them. I was very proud of each and every one of them. And our first game, my kids are batting first, and I loaded the front end of the lineup like typically you do, and they were just smacking the crap out of them, and we got all the way through our lineup, and that was part of the rules were once you got all 10 of your batters through, then that was the end of the side. You only got to go through once. It was kind of like otherwise the inning would never end. So,
right,
so
right.
then they got their runs and they got off the field. And then they took the field for defense, and the first 3 batters were thrown out at first because my kids knew what to do. And then
Yeah.
the other team, my kids come off the field because they just got 3 outs, and the other team's like, "What the hell?" I'm like, what's going on? So the coaches came over and they said, "Why'd you need to get your guys back on the field?" I go, "That was 3 outs." And I looked at the umpire. That was 3, right? "Oh, we don't keep track of outs."
What?
Yeah, they didn't keep track of outs, and they didn't have a scoreboard. I had a scorekeeper sitting on my side of the line with a scorebook and keeping score of everything. They didn't. Turns out this league did not actually have a rule that said it. It was just tradition that we don't keep score. This is for the fun of it. Yeah, my kids were having fun kicking your kid's ass. And next thing you know, the parents are up in arms because I'm not letting their children, and me specifically, why it was me, I don't know, but my kids were taught to the point you throw to first base. So they'd throw it and they'd get them out. Sometimes they'd miss and they'd overthrow or something because kids, accuracy is not there. But they were getting them out more often than not. And the parents on either team were mad because their kids were getting thrown out. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Have my kids intentionally just ignore the ball and throw their mitts in the air and play in the dirt? No, my kids.
I remember you talking about that now. Yeah.
My kids, when they were out in the field, Every time a batter come up, my pitcher would turn. I say pitcher. We had somebody stand on the mound as the pitcher. They didn't actually throw the ball since it was t-ball. The pitcher's job was turn around, hold his finger up in the air with how many outs there were, and yell ready position. And everyone, hunkered down, got their mitts low in the ready position, ready to go. Whereas the other team, they were legitimately, they'd have their mitt on their head, or they'd be standing in the outfield, didn't even have their mitt. There'd be a kid out there plicking flowers.
That used to be me. That was me.
But you instill on a kid, this is how you play. My kids were so damn proud of the fact that they were the elite team in the T-ball league, which was ridiculous. But you're doing them a disservice by doing this. The kids need to learn how to lose. I don't care if we would have came in dead last, but my kids would have learned how to lose gracefully. They would have learned that you still line up and you congratulate them for a hard-fought game.
That's what it is, man. I didn't play T-ball, and I did a little bit in Little League, but I'd have to say that my biggest lesson in losing came from playing soccer as a kid, and it was because my dad was my coach, and he sat me down one night and looked at me and he goes, kid, you're just too fat to play center forward. And I was devastated by this. And people might think that my dad was being mean and whatever, but that, you know what, like I said, my parents, they love me, and I had no doubt about it. I didn't take it personally because my dad went, you're too fat to play center forward. He goes, but you're extremely quick and nimble in short distances. I'm going to throw you in the goal box. And that's when it started, man. I mean, I was an amazing goalie. And it's because my dad looked at me and he put the harsh. I wanted to play center forward. I wanted to play the striker position. I wanted to do that. I wanted to, but I was just too fat. Like, I could pick up and move for like 40 feet, and then my fatness would get in the way. and my dad was my coach, like I said, and he had to look at me and basically just spell out the truth. It's like, yep, here it is. And it wasn't because he didn't love me. It's just because my dad knew that he had to play to my strengths. And sometimes, it might have worked out that my strength just wasn't soccer. And in which case, he would have had to tell me that too. But, other people need to stop coddling their kids. Okay? It's really going to start ruining everything. Everybody suffers when you do that. If somebody's bad or somebody just can't do it, that's okay. It's all right. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be good at something else. Stephen Hawking, another guy in a wheelchair, not the first pick for your kickball. That's just not his wheelhouse. But you know what?
Well,
Guy was a man. Well, I mean, whatever. There is that. I mean, if you want to be all dark and morose about it, fine. He's fucking dead. But while alive, you would not have picked him for your kickball team. But you know what? He would have been a great mathlete. That's
that right there. We're going to lead back to my own kids. My oldest, he eventually just didn't really care for team sports, which is fine. I'm not going to force him to do something he doesn't enjoy. I thought he was pretty damn good at it, but he doesn't enjoy it, so I'm not going to force him to do it. So one aspect of not making your kid do anything, but then making your kids do something that they don't like is just as bad. So my youngest son is physically incapable of playing in a team sport. So what did they do? Well, they started getting into Pokemon. Yeah, the cards.
Oh.
They got into Pokemon. So I'm like, all right, let's go find a Pokemon league. Well, there wasn't one. So I contacted the Pokemon company. I did their background tests. I found a store that was willing to let me do it there, and I ended up becoming a certified, bona fide Pokemon professor.
And you're an ordained minister.
I am an ordained minister, but that's besides the point.
Well, I'm just going over your credentials.
Well, let me put it to you this way. While being ordained is 100% legal, I would rather put the Pokemon professor title on a resume before I'd put that ordained minister on there. So, yeah, actually, there's legit tests for it, and then you have to do a background check, and you have to do the child line stuff, all that. So, anyway, so one of the first things I did was, okay, we're gonna advertise, and we're gonna tell people, hey, we're gonna have a Pokemon League. Come on in. And believe it or not, there's actually you get a mixture of adults and kids. But every time we get a bunch of kids in there, they had no idea how to play. So I'd have to teach them how to play the game. And you'd get the ones that they would lose and have a meltdown. Well, of course you're going to lose. You don't want to play the goddamn game. But the parents were upset because little Johnny lost. Well, of course little Johnny lost. It's the first time playing against a kid over here who's in the World Championship tournaments. I mean, come on. And I would have to try to tell these kids, and this is a big theme that I had with my children that I started teaching these children is it's either you win or you learn something. It's not win and lose. You either win or you learn something. Okay, you didn't win. What did you learn? Well, I learned if I play this way, then this person's going to counter with this. Okay, great. Then you actually benefited because you learned something new and you learned how to react to a situation. And you can teach that in every aspect of life, not just a stupid card game.
That's kind of the idea of sports and how they're supposed to be such a developmental tool. If there is no opposite of win, whether it's you learn something or not, you kind of lose that skill set in your life, the ability to take things as they come.
And just because you're not good at one thing does not mean you won't excel at something else. My youngest son is not ever going to do anything physical. He's just physically not able to. We've discussed this.
Right.
But this time last year, actually, it was August of last year, both my children and myself were in Washington, D.C., and they played at the Pokemon World Championships.
That's pretty hip.
I'm pretty damn proud of them. And we did just as much traveling, practicing, and everything else as anybody on like some travel sports team. But you got to find what your kids are good at and encourage it. Don't force it. If they told me I don't want to play, well, fine, I ain't going to play. Now, if you commit to something, you got to see it through.
That's another thing too. People are letting their kids quit too easy.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, I went to when I became an EMT, I had to go through 9 months of schooling for that. And when we first started the class, there was a mother and two teenagers there in the class. They came for exactly 2 classes. This is too hard, and they quit.
Yeah.
That was an expensive class. And they just quit. That was the end of it. This is going to be too hard for us. We're going to quit. Okay, I'm glad you have money to throw away.
Oh, they probably tried to get a refund.
Probably got it, too.
I would have to say so because we didn't read about it in the newspaper.
Yep. And then you got the kids were on baseball because I did coach for multiple years. My kid wants to be the catcher. Yeah, well, yours and 3 other kids want to be catcher. We rotate. Well, if my kid's not going to be the catcher, then we're going to transfer to another team. Yeah, our league doesn't do that. You're not doing anything. Well, then we're going to quit. All right, fine, see ya.
Yeah,
I feel bad. I feel bad for your kid, but you know what? Beat feet. You're going to drag the rest of us down.
Yeah, that's.
Guess what, Karen? Your kid's not entitled to do whatever they want.
Yeah, pretty much.
In instances where my kids were on teams or organizations other than the ones I was participating in as a volunteer, if the coach says to do something, what do you do, kids? Come on.
Do it.
You do it. You don't come crying to me saying, I want to do this. I don't give a shit. Get over there. Listen to your coach.
Yeah. Don't let your kids stand behind you like some sort of freaking shield. All right? The coach ain't going to assault your kids. You don't need to You don't need to stand up and brandish some sort of sword in defense of your child over a coach making a decision your kid doesn't like.
Because guess what, folks? How many times in life have you got decisions from your boss that you didn't like?
That's about where there is a little dot connection happening there, Raz. Yeah.
These are the same people that when they grow up, that you know, employees. I'll tell them to do something. I don't want to do that. Okay, then I guess you can go home. Well, I'm not going to get paid if I go home. Yeah, well, you're not going to get paid for not doing what I tell you to do either.
Yeah, that's kind of another dot that needs to connect there. Could have learned that in team sports or, through basic childhood interaction with people. Too bad your parents didn't teach you better.
It's really when you see these people that are growing up with this like just sense of freaking entitlement, and it's an unwarranted sense of entitlement too. I feel like I'm surrounded by them every day. I genuinely used to just be disgusted by them and have, like, just nothing but contempt and disdain. But it's gotten to the point now I realize it's like, you know what? I feel bad for you. I do. I feel bad for you. And I don't blame it on your parents because I didn't have parents growing up. I bounced back and forth between one parent who was not equipped to raise a house plant and my grandmother who, bless her heart, was not a spring chicken, but she did everything she could. And by all accounts, if you look at my raising, I should be a goddamn crack addict criminal. But I've never been intoxicated in my life. I'm as dull as the day is long. I've been involved in law enforcement and public service my entire career. So I went the opposite direction, mostly out of spite. But
I just never got caught.
Well, yeah, it's true. With that, and you were in Mexico. So
Well, that and I could yank out a nose hair, and nobody shows sympathy for a fat kid crying, buddy.
oh my God. But
Yeah, buddy. You just yank a nose hair out, and the tears start coming.
But when I see these entitled people, I just say, you know what? Your parents failed you. Why are you think you're entitled to anything? You're not. You're not entitled to anything in life. Even when you've done everything you can to earn something, doesn't mean you're going to get it. Because guess what, kids? Life's not fair.
No, it is not.
If life was fair, I would still be on the East Coast. Mark would be, walking.
Yeah. I would even run.
Life's not fair. My son wouldn't be in the state that he's in. Life's not fair. Buckle up, get a helmet, and suck it up.
It will be okay. I mean, the sands will clear eventually, unless you screw up really bad and end up dying, and then you really can't care about it anyhow.
Dun dun dun. Now you're the one getting morbid.
Yeah, I just figured that, people would really just go, well, what if you die? Well, if you die, then too bad.
You shouldn't have to worry about it anymore.
You should have wore a helmet.
That being said, kids, wear a helmet.
Yeah, wear a helmet. You might want to do elbow pads and some wrist pads and.
Well, let's not go overboard.
Yeah, let's just be safe. See, like I said, my kids are lucky that they only see me 6 weeks a year now, because I would be that parent. I really would be.
Oh, you're lying out your teeth. Your one kid would be Evel Knievel if she could get away with it.
Probably. She'd probably help me build a ramp for my wheelchair that's got like a half pipe on it or something.
No, she'd build it, blindfold your ass, and shove you in it.
Yeah, but I'd be having my hands up going, woo, the whole time.
Did you envision yourself having kids growing up?
That's all I ever wanted. To be quite honest with you, man, that's like the one thing that I have wanted since I was just a little kid, was just to be somebody's dad. So yeah, I envisioned myself having kids a lot when I was growing up.
I said that I had this horrible upbringing, and I did, but I still learned something from it, and I told that to my wife. I said, you know what, I did learn something, and someday I will, uh, say this to that parent that I thank you because now I know what not to do.
Yeah, that's also really important, knowing what not to do.
And I'm not going to sit here and give you my tale of woe and that's not what this is. This is us complaining, and that's not something to complain about. That's something to mourn. But we, I learned what not to do, and I do the exact opposite. You know what? My kids are bloody great. They can be jerks, but guess what? Everyone's a jerk from time to time.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I probably shouldn't have told her to be fat and ugly somewhere else and get out of my way, but I did because I was being a jerk that day. But I was instigated to it. I would never teach my kids to do that. You know how good of a parent I am? I can tell you how good of a parent I am. They're not allowed to listen to this podcast.
See, I'm a bad parent because I always send it to my oldest. I'm like, hey, check this out. But they're 13 years old, so it like, I'm gonna go ahead and let myself off on a loose technicality there because I'm in a wheelchair.
You can't use that for every excuse.
Yeah, it works so well though. It works so well.
I've said that before. When I'm elderly, I'm just gonna go around and steal all the stuff everywhere, and every time I get caught, I'm old.
I don't even have to wait till I'm old. I got a wheelchair.
Just start smuggling shit out in your chair,
Man, you have no idea.
or smuggle stuff in.
That's what you should. I'm the best person to go to a movie theater with.
Oh my god.
I'm not even kidding, man. I will take whatever you got. All the contraband, nobody checks. Nope, it's great.
We have this common theme. We end up always saying something about our work in the prison system. Do you remember the guy that smuggled in the entire 5 pounds of tobacco in his wheelchair?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. That guy.
We kept searching the pipes and the piping in the chair, like the handles and everything like that. Nobody could ever find anything. This dude hollowed out the seat cushion and replaced it with tobacco.
Yes, he did, and that was epic. That was epic because oh my gosh, everybody was like, "Now what do we do?" It's not that. Nope. You just got to treat him like a regular person. What would you do to a regular inmate? But he's in a wheelchair. See, the excuse holds water.
Did I ever tell you I made the vertically challenged individual? Because I don't know what the PC term is anymore. But
Oh my gosh, yes.
I made him
Yes,
I made him
remember-
stand on the stool.
Yep.
I made him stand on the stool for a strip search. Oh God, how tall was he? Like maybe 3 foot.
Shorter than all of our children.
He's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not getting on my knees, look under your nuts."
That I just won't do.
Okay. Well, I think we're starting to stray off topic, so I think that's probably where we're going to come to an end for episode 5 of the Social Liability Podcast, where in this episode we talked about
Raise your kids, raise your kids, raise your goddamn kids.
Raising your damn kids.
Indeed. So catch us on the next episode of the Social Liability Podcast, where Raz and Buck continue to talk about those people in your lives that violate the social contract we all agreed to live by. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. If you want to listen to the audio version of the podcast, you can do so on Castbox, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Overcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Anchor, and guess what? Now iTunes. I actually need to take that graphic off the screen. We are now on iTunes as well, so I'm very happy about that because that's my favorite podcasting platform.
Yes, it's an amazing accomplishment. Thank you so much for getting the ball rolling on that one, Raz.
So that being said, folks, catch us this next week when we do another edition of the Social Liability Podcast. Have a week.